Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, members and guests. It is January the 5th, 2026, and welcome to a regular meeting of the West Shore Photography Club. I'm pleased that we have lots of entries for the before and after session this evening. We'll get to that shortly, but a few things beforehand. I wanted to wish everyone a happy new year, and I hope that you had a great holidays. I mentioned before the meeting started that we've picked up a few people who've renewed their memberships, and we're back up to good numbers now. I think we're at 111. Okay, one of the most active photo clubs in the area, as I understand it, is in Westchester, Chester County Club. And I found out the other day through Betty Wilson, who presented to us, and they only have 135 members. So I think we're doing pretty well. So thank you and congratulations to everybody. Uh, Next Monday night, I'm doing a special presentation. It's an update to Lightroom Classic. So this is intended for two groups of people. Number one, if you use Lightroom Classic, or number two, if you're curious about Lightroom Classic. Okay. Or actually, even number three, if you use another program, most of these concepts are transferable because all of these software editing programs do pretty much the same thing. Some of them do a little bit in a little bit different way. But Dick Mesner actually asked me if I would do this because there have been a lot of changes to Lightroom Classic in the last couple of years. Okay, they happen pretty frequently, and some are more significant than others. So it has forced me to go back and watch some videos and bring myself up to date, which I appreciate. And I'm going to share that with you with plenty of photo examples from my trips, next Monday night at 7 o'clock. So the email already went out once for that. It'll go out again tomorrow with the link. And as usual, then the same day as the meeting. So that's our typical approach with the emails, 2 weeks ahead of time, at least a week ahead of time. And then the morning of the meeting, they're all set to go out at 7 a.m. through MailChimp. So if for some reason you have not been receiving regular emails from us, something happened. And there have been people who have been, well, some people have accidentally unsubscribed themselves. Okay. And other people, MailChimp does a overly aggressive job of sorting out potential spam. And this seems to affect Gmail clients more than anybody else. So particularly if you're a Gmail client, you're susceptible to being blocked by MailChimp. So if you're not getting your emails, let me know and I'll try to correct that for you. Then the following week, January the 19th, we've got a very special presentation by an internationally acclaimed artist, presenter, photographer, Hazel Meredith. Okay. Was brought to the presentation committee by Elaine, and Elaine made the connections. And Elaine's going to do a present. I mean, Hazel's going to do a presentation for us. And one of the reasons we got her to do this presentation is because she's dealing with an artistic topic that came up when we surveyed members about what they would want to learn more about. And there were a number of people in the survey who said they want to learn how to do more creative things. Okay. And Hazel's presentation is going to be working with textures and overlays. So as long as you have access to a software program that is layers based, like Photoshop, like Lightroom Classic, like On1, there are many, many others who they can all use layers. You can learn these techniques. They're not overly complicated, and you can get some great results. And anybody who's been following me on Facebook for the last couple of months knows that I've really been inspired lately by these types of presentations, and I've been experimenting with a lot of those things, a lot of texture layers, color overlays, combining images into composites. It's been a lot of fun. Really has invigorated me. Uh, I wanted to let you know why you won't be seeing me for a while. Many of you know this already, but my wife and I are going on another long trip. In 2024, we did the world cruise with Princess, and many of you know we were going for 4 months. It was a wonderful experience, and I got lots and tons of great photos. I'm still going back and using those on these compositing projects and all this stuff I'm doing. Last year, we did 2 months and went around South America. Well, this year, because of some perks we got and some benefits and some things that happened because of itinerary changes, we have the special opportunity to do another long cruise, which was originally planned as another world cruise, but it turned they don't want to go through the Suez Canal. Can you guess why? So we're not going to do that. We're going to circumnavigate pretty much the Pacific Ocean, but it's going to be another 4 month cruise. Actually, it beats our last big cruise by 4 days. We'll be going 115 days. So we leave January the 17th, and I won't be back until after the last meeting in May. So you won't see me for the rest of till May through May. So I want to thank the people who are stepping in for me. Elaine, Mark Albano, our vice president, Joe, Gene's doing trips. We're working right now to get everything set up so they continue the meetings and won't miss a beat, and meetings and trips. So hopefully we'll be good to go. In my absence, if you need to contact, well, I still have access or will have access to email and text messages. So certainly feel free to contact me. But the people who are most likely to address your immediate problem would be Mark as the VP or Gene with trips. So thanks, guys, for keeping things going while I'm away again. This is very likely to be the last really long trip. I'll still want to get away during the wintertime a bit, but the last really long one. Speaking of trips, Gene.
Okay. Well, I certainly hope you have a wonderful time, you and your wife on your trip, and stay safe, please. Our next trip is Tuesday, January 27th. We will be going to the State Library, and that's at 10 o'clock. We will be having a presentation by the librarian, just a short one, on the history of the library itself. So last year we went and it was wonderful. It's a lot of Art Deco if you've never been, and there's so many detail shots that you can make. It's wonderful. So if you can, please try and make it. I know it's a weekday. Um, let's see. And in February, I know Joe wants to do Middle Creek for the snow geese, but that will be as they come in. And so that's sort of a short notice type thing. You typically don't get a whole month notice on that one. This Wednesday, we are having our trips committee meeting. And if you have any suggestions, of a trip that you would like to do, any venues that you would like to have the photography club go to, please give me a shout at photobygene@gmail.com, which that was a nice tip, Dennis, about the MailChimp and the Gmails. I did not know that. But anyway, I typically get the MailChimp, so I'm not too worried about that. But yeah, if you would like to give a suggestion, I'll get it on our agenda. And I think that's about it for right now.
Very good. Thanks, Gene.
Sure.
Anyone else have anything for the good of the order before we move into the before and after? Okay, Mark, it's all yours.
Okay, well, thanks. Let me get my program up, if I can do that. It's not letting me share. Hold on a
Double
second.
check. I did give you co-host privileges.
I don't think it's you. I don't think it's you.
Well, let me check. Yep, you still have co-host privileges.
Okay, I'm going to be right back. I had to do a setting on my computer, and it's telling me it won't take effect until I quit and reopen.
Great. Right.
So I'll
It's
be
like
right
getting one of
back.
those software updates right in the middle of a meeting.
Well, I had to change a setting.
Okay, okay. We'll wait
Right
for you to
back.
return. In the meantime, we'll hear from Joe Farrell.
Hello there, Dennis Baker. Jane, we do have a possibility of having another trip over to the Lebanon Valley College, and on a, I think Mike Donovan, are you here?
Yes.
Yes, he
Yes,
is.
I'm
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, and we're gonna, in our meeting, we're gonna set some dates for that, and that should be a really nice one. What was that one gonna be about, Mike?
Versailles, the
Yeah.
photographer of Paris.
Okay.
But I haven't seen any information from the gallery yet, so I've been sort of holding off.
Yeah. Well, she told me that they were finishing up the some little loose ends on the document that they wanted to put out, and she sent us a draft of it. But we can. She said that we can plan on any of those dates that was in the draft. So
Oh,
we can
okay.
talk about that on Tuesday evening.
Okay. Thanks
And
for following up on that.
yeah. So
Yeah, I think we can go anywhere between the end of January and the beginning of April.
right. Yep.
So we'll get that on the books Wednesday.
And while Mark is working there, let me ask about the trip to Middle Creek. And as Gene mentioned, that it will be a last minute kind of a thing. We work closely with the rangers at Middle Creek and giving us advice as to when we think it's going to be really good. And we have maybe a couple of day notice. How many people, if you could just put into chat with yes, if you are inclined to go to Middle Creek, it would be during the week. It would be early in the morning. It would be oh dark 100, and we would be there for about an hour at the very most. But we like to get a sense for that, and the reason I'm asking that is that we've been there numerous times. And sometimes people get a sense that maybe we're wearing out the same venues. And I just wanted to get a little sense as to how many people might want to attend that. And I see there's 5, 6, 7. And that would be, if we had 7, that would be great. And it is absolutely magical if everything comes right with the sun rising and the geese taking off with the sun in the background. And then usually at that time of the year, there'll be a moon out and maybe get some geese and flying in front of the moon. And it's a really, really cool place. Okay, did I fill that time, Mark?
I think you did. Let me see if it works, Dennis.
Joe, I find it to be a lot more magical in the evening after you've had a good night's sleep.
I agree
Oh,
with that, Mike.
oh, come on, guys.
Coming from someone who doesn't like to get out of bed in the morning.
Yeah. Sheesh.
Yeah, what's the problem with that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Can everybody see that?
I see a list of catalogs.
That's exactly what we have. Okay, we're all set then.
Excellent.
All right. The first person is Dan Olson.
Oh, Mark, we're seeing the catalogs and there, it's not the actual.
You're not seeing the
Screen.
pictures. You're not
No.
seeing the screen.
No.
That's a
All
list
right.
of the catalogs.
Oh, damn it.
Uh-oh.
Shh. I know. I said a bad word.
I
I'm going
know.
to stop the share and restart it.
Okay.
Looking good.
Okay.
There you go.
I see a woman
Perfect.
with 3 dogs.
Yep, that's perfect. So we'll
Okay.
start with Dan.
All right. Yeah, so that's the before and basic setup. This is a large walking bridge in Minneapolis, kind of leading into downtown from a sculpture garden across Interstate 94. And so this is Thanksgiving, had to fake a educational trip for my boy to get out of school to go back and see grandma for Thanksgiving. And so we went to the sculpture garden, and I brought my camera with me, of course, and I got some neat things about the sculpture garden, that kind of stuff, and the family. And then this one, we were kind of going back and forth on the bridge, and that's my daughter there, kind of in the middle, if you will, and my lovely wife on the right. And so I was taking pictures of them on the bridge, and then this lady popped up from that stairwell there. And so I gave her a quick nod and kind of like you were questioning the affirmative, and appeared to get that. So I got real low because I was trying to get the dogs before they got too close to me. And so it's a little off kilter in terms of, centering and all that kind of stuff. But I got a shot. I had my kit zoom lens on it, so not a high end thing, but enough. And so when I got it, I played with it a little bit, and there were some things I wanted to do. Let's see, but and the day was like, then the very next day started snowing and really windy and stormy and that kind of stuff. But this day was kind of the pre-stormy day with the skies are just crazy gray and that kind of stuff. So the colors are a little muted as well, even beyond what they normally would be to the naked eye. But anyway, I think that's kind of the setup. And obviously the dogs were the attention getters because I mean they come up with those funny little sweaters and it just was. I'm not like necessarily a dog person, but it was kind of hard to avoid the character that these little guys had. And so anyway, so yeah, then I went. So I forget the exact changes I had done to it because I deleted my catalog recently to make some space. But in short, you can kind of see I did the first thing I did is, and this I don't think I've ever had to do this. I took my family out of the picture. So they're gone out of the back using the people remove in Lightroom, and then kind of jazzed up the colors a little bit. And then I think the more maybe interesting piece was the kind of the conflict you see from because really the dogs and the lady are walking kind of right to left, if you will, but the bridge, kind of leads your eye to the right, and she's also looking to the right. So I felt fine cropping it a little differently than, more normally the default would be like, leave space for them to where they're walking into, if you will. And so this one, I think I was more comfortable keeping the space to the right and maybe getting rid of a little space to the left. So that was kind of the end product. And actually there is a fourth dog and it's sitting behind the dog on the left. So there were 4 dogs, but I liked how just accidentally, he got behind them because, threes. I think the 3 thing worked out good, but I didn't edit the goofy little legs that you can kind of see on the left there. I just kind of left them as is. Didn't want to doctor it up too much, but I was kind of glad he was almost perfectly hidden behind the first dog because I think the 3 looked good and they were, accidentally spaced out perfectly. So anyway, that was the image. The editing wasn't like crazy heavy other than, cropping, people remove, and then pumping up the colors. So it's a little more interesting, particularly with the yellow bridge work there. And I think that's what I didn't do anything with the sky because it was so bland. I think to do anything with it, I would have had to got in the sky replacement. I think anything else would look kind of funny. So I just kind of left the sky. It's kind of bland, blue-gray kind of drab.
How did you fix the stairway where your wife and daughter were?
That was just straight up magic. So when I did like when you go through the AI remove, it gives you the several options, about 3 options to choose from, and then you can even regenerate if you want. And so that was actually what it came up with. And best I can recall, it's pretty close to what it was. So I think when I went through the options, that was the cleanest one that looked natural without, because sometimes you go through the IA iterations, it will have some variations that just look way too wonky because it's just kind of guessing at a few options. But that was the cleanest set I think I could find.
Did you perform that in Photoshop?
Nope. That was right in Lightroom, Lightroom
okay.
Classic. Yeah,
Yeah,
the AI
that's
people remove.
One
Yeah,
of the features
they've
I'll be-
really improved that. They've really improved it. And the only thing I noticed there, kind of, and Joe and I were talking about this a few weeks ago, was if you do that, there's a button on the top right where you have to kind of, I think it's not called regenerate, but it was a little arrow, circular arrow that you have to hit. And what it does is it refreshes, updates all of the other edits you do. So for example, if I do a people remove, but before I did the people remove, I played with either the tone, the colorings, the anything, you'll see like almost like a ghost image of that thing you deleted. And so you got to go back and regenerate it, and it rethinks through all of those previous edits you do to replace the ghost of the images that you just deleted. So there's a couple things I kind of learned through the weeks as I used it more and more, but this image worked out perfect for playing with that.
Very good. Yeah, that's one of the features I'll be demonstrating next Monday night.
Oh, great. Yep.
Any other comments or questions? Okay, we're moving on. Alan.
Thanks.
Okay, this is the Pool Forge Covered Bridge, and it's in Narvon, Pennsylvania, which is between New Holland and Honeybrook. Some of you might be more familiar with the Shady Maple Smorgasbord. It's not too far from there. So this was taken last winter and from inside the covered bridge. And I shot this at f10, 1/250th of a second, and ISO was 2500. And I processed this in Lightroom Classic, and I changed the profile from Adobe Color to Adobe Landscape, and I cropped it and ran denoise. And I did the typical reduce highlights, increase shadows, set the white and black points. And of course, when I did that, the inside of the bridge was still dark. So I used the mask. If you select subject, it selected the house and everything else. So I inverted it so that the inside the bridge was selected. And then I went through the typical stuff to lighten up the inside, setting the white and black points, adjusting the exposure, the highlights and the shadows. But when I did that, the little windows up at the top, those were overexposed. The inside of the bridge was exposed okay, but those were like blown out. So I had to select each one of those windows and readjust the exposure and play with those a little bit also. And then let me see, what else? Oh, there was I don't know if you can see it on the original. There was like I don't know if it was a camera, security camera or something on a wire that was hanging down. So I did used a remove tool and did that. And played around a little bit till I kind of got it the way I wanted. I end up as having this printed in an 8.5 by 11. But that was basically it. Anybody have any questions, comments?
Mark,
like
can you show the first one again?
Sure.
Okay, thanks.
Okay. Any comments or questions?
Yeah,
Nice job, Chip.
It is a nice
Thank
job.
you.
You get a nice contrast in tones there when you brighten up the interior of the bridge. You get those nice warm tones contrasting against the cool tones of the snow.
Yeah, I like the wood. I like to bring out the wood there.
It's nice that you have the stone house there as a focal point, though, and the bridge and the whatever those are, stones or something, or objects on along the road.
Yeah, they might have been cut wood, like,
okay.
Cut a tree into sections.
Yeah, lead your eye right to the house.
Okay. Anything else? Next up is Mike Donovan.
Okay, this was actually on our field trip to the Star Barn, and I did not ignore the Star Barn. That's not the Star Barn. I did all the Star Barn stuff, and it was just frigid that day, cold and terrible. but the Star Barn was beautiful and all was well. And each year I use one of my photographs as a Christmas card. So I was hoping that I would see something there that I could use. Well, I did the Star Barn stuff, got in the car and headed home. But before I left the grounds, I happened to look to the right and I saw this barn up on the hill, not far from the exit. And the wreaths on there just were perfect. It said Christmas all the way. However, the horse field in the front with those little piles that say horses, that was not Christmassy, nor was the dead grass and the green. None of it was Christmassy, but I knew there was something there. So, Mark, can you do the next one?
Certainly.
So that's what we ended up with, and it took some work. The first thing I did was the crop. That's usually what I do first. And after the crop, I removed the horse manure, one pile at a time.
I've done that.
After that, I did the sky replace. As you can see by the little ones over the thumbnails on the left, it was a total sky replacement. Then I went to Affinity and did a color replace. I switched the green, the brownish green, for almost pure white, and that's what created the snow on the ground. Also, I went over the wooden fence in the back. It looks like there's a little bit of snow on top of that. I did some color replace on there with the white. Let's see. Oh, there's a building to the left of the barn that I disappeared. And finally, the next to the last thing was I brightened up the barn because when I put the last thing on, the snow overlay, that dulled the barn down. And the whole point of this was the wreaths and the barn. So I pulled those up, brightened up the barn with the masked everything else out, went to the barn. And then finally, the last thing was the snow over the top. And then since it was a Christmas card, I always put that 1980s white fade out around the corner, out around the edge of the image. And that turned out to be this year's Christmas card, which was a snowy day at the Star Barn with the beautiful cloudy sky and the snow lying on the ground, none of which really was real. So when the lady talks about overlays and textures, and they do have a use. They do have a reason to exist. So this took a while. I did it in On1 and then switched over to Affinity, the new Affinity.
So is the snow overlay, what is it? Was it a real shot of snow against the sky or some other thing?
It actually, it's an overlay that exists in On1. It's called, some of these overlays have the stupidest names. This one's called Catch It on Your Tongue, which means you got to look at every overlay because some of them say Havana and some of, but this is called Catch It on Your Tongue. I'm sure the overlay was originally made from a photograph of snow, and you can make your own. You can photograph a brick wall or a piece of wood or a snowy day or whatever. So this one already existed in the software in On1.
Mike, did you try to put snow on the roof and not like it, or why isn't there snow on the roof?
One of two things struck me. Number one, you can see that it was kind of sunny, even though it looks snowy. It was really a sunny day. And my thought was, number one, it's a pain in the neck. And the other thought was, it's a dark tin roof. And that's the last thing that the snow would lay on probably. And it looks like the snow just started, an hour ago. So I let the roof alone.
Very good. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions or comments?
Mike, how did you do the color replacement? Did you say it was on the fence there?
On the ground, actually.
How did you do that?
There's in On1, there's a curve filter, there's probably 30 filters. One of them is color replace. So you take your eyedropper, drop it on the color that you want to get rid of, and then it'll have another window where you insert the color you want to replace it with. So first is I guess you can't see my cursor. First is the choice of the color you want to get rid of, and then your second choice is the color you want to replace it with. So sometimes you'll have to do it more than once because it's kind of picky about the color that you choose. So if there's a light green and a dark green, you'll have to do it twice.
That's cool.
Thanks.
Okay.
Anyone else?
Comment for those who are interested in overlays, textures, those kinds of things. I mentioned this before, but let me stress it again. On1 has a module from their entire software program called Effects. And I've been using it for years. That's what Mike referred to with the snowflakes. You can buy just that part of the whole program. It's On1 Effects. And I just checked, it's $39.99. And it gives you digital borders, overlays, all kinds of effects that you can add to your pictures with just a click of a mouse. It's a tremendous program. I highly recommend it.
Now, I was feeling old when I was doing this because I started out in the dark room, and I hear people say sky replacement, people removal, digital this, color replacement. There was none of that in the dark room. So when people say, do you miss the dark room? I say, yeah, I miss sitting in the dark, breathing chemicals and not being able to make the same picture twice.
I wanted to add snow to a scene, so I spent like 45 minutes watching a YouTube video, and I created my own snow in Photoshop. It looked okay. And then I went into On1 to do something else, and I realized they had a layer there, like the one Mike used, that I could have used and saved myself 45 minutes.
Mike,
Anything else?
I'm really glad to see this picture, Mike, because I think you forgot to send me a Christmas card this year, so it's good to see you. I mean, I wasn't personally hurt by it, but I like to see your picture. Nice picture.
Yeah, we can tell.
Thank you. Let me dig through the trash here. I may have some. Thank you, Richard. Thanks.
SKAARE next year.
I can see it on the screen.
Well, maybe he's like me. After 2 years of not receiving a card from someone, you don't send them one.
Exactly.
Next.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say next. Chris.
All right. I love the liveliness tonight. So this is actually a project that I worked on with a model from New York City, and her name is Nikki. She is someone that I met when I went to the Build Expo in June of this year. She knew that I had this photo, and she's actually trying to get cast for a film. So I couldn't like go crazy with the edits, but I had to show kind of, what it would look like if, she was in whatever this film was. And I guess it has something to do with the carriage because she was very particular about this photo. And so I said, okay, I'll clean it up a little bit and send it to you. So tonight, I don't have like a crazy before and after concept here, but what I wanted to do was get rid of the distractions in the photo. So that way, we're focusing more on Nikki, and hopefully whoever is casting her is going to be able to see that as well. I haven't heard back from her since I sent her the photo, but that's just the way life goes sometimes. But if you just pay attention to the group of people on the right side, which this was doing one of those photo shoot, walkthroughs. And if you've ever been to a photo conference, you know that those always get crowded and the model gets surrounded by people. But I'm a bigger dude than most people. So I was able to kind of get to the front, and I caught her in this moment. And that's how she knew I had this photo, because she was actually thinking through something. And I was talking to her because I was the only one who talked to her. So that's why this particular photo, it mattered for her, because I showed it to her after I took it. And I sent her this, all messy like it is now. And she asked for it to be cleaned up. So I got rid of the people on the right side, and then I just cleaned up a little bit around her, as you can see here in the after photo. I also placed a color grade over the top using selective color. And, I'm going to kind of share the cards here. I did not use On1 to process this image. And that is my primary editor. I actually worked in Photoshop for this image because I knew I needed to do some heavy removal, like distraction removals. And Photoshop, it just does a great job. It's really easy to do, and it was really quick. And then because she was casting for a film, or at least I guess putting in to be cast for a film, I just put what I thought would be a filmic color grade on the image to hopefully help the casting director see that as well. So, I wanted to help her out. I wouldn't call her a friend, but we do talk from time to time on Instagram. So, we're virtual friends. But yeah, it was just a thing that it was interesting because I've never had to do this type of work before. I've done many portrait cleanups and things of that sort, but something where it was very intentional for a job to help her. This was the first time that I've ever done something like that.
Cool. Any questions?
Yeah,
I have a
Dietrich,
question, Chris. I'm not used to color grading. What did the color grading do?
So it really just cooled things down. I pulled more towards the teal, and I should probably take a look at it. I have it pulled up here.
Okay.
In the
You did some
shadows.
blemish, and you did some blemish work too, right?
Yeah, but that was mostly
No.
AI. I use a tool
Okay.
called Retouch for Me,
Okay.
because I do some work with them, and so I get access to the tools for free. So I did a little bit of retouching, but not a whole lot. But as far as the color grading goes, with the selective color tool, I just pulled down the shadows, the cyans in the shadows, or I'm sorry, in the shadows channel, I pulled the cyans to the left a little bit, and then I also increased the blue in the yellows, and that's just for the shadows. I don't think I did.
Okay.
And then in the highlights, I did a little bit of adjustment there as well, but it was supposed to be subtle, just something that makes it look more like a film as
Mhm.
opposed to just an image that was captured on the street. I wanted to make it look like it was an intentional photo or film-like photo.
Okay. Great. Any other questions?
yeah, since I've been involved with photography, I've paid more attention to movies now and cinematic effects, camera positions and lighting. And when Chris mentions color grading, I'm much more sensitive to this than I used to be. Yeah, if I study the scene, and very, very often you'll notice a overall color cast to the scene, especially if it's in like an uncomfortable moment of the movie. You might have a greenish yellow color grading to it to help make you feel uncomfortable. Chris, any comment on that kind of thing in the movies?
Yeah, so I wish I could say that I was going that deep with it. It just looked a little too warm for me, so I went ahead. It was more corrective, but also intentional for the filmic look. But I do fully understand what you're saying, Dennis. There is the color psychology or the psychology of color and how it makes you feel when you're watching or looking at the visual aspect. And but I can't take any credit for trying to do anything like that on this photo.
Okay. Yeah, Mike Donovan's been trying to inform us about the emotion of color for quite a few years, haven't you, Mike?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And we appreciate it.
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks, Chris.
Yep. Thanks.
Okay. Peggy. Is she here?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we're having trouble hearing you, Peggy. Might be a
Is this any
connection.
better if I get
Yeah, there we
closer?
go. Yep.
Is that better?
Yes.
Yep.
So, I was sitting in my backyard, late summer here, and I happened to turn around. I have elephant ears, which are great big leaf flowers. And I happened to turn around and this guy was sitting there looking at me. And I thought that was pretty cool. So I ran in quick and got my camera and went back out. And
Picture.
that's how I actually took the picture. I was at I have a Nikon D750 that was at f5. The exposure time was 1/400th of a second, and I did it at 195 millimeter was the focal length on it. I thought it was pretty cool because I got his eyes actually looking at me. So I wanted to try to enhance him more and to make him stick out and make the background go away. So in the after shot, I just worked in Lightroom Classic, and I always when I do things, I always adjust the exposure on any of my pictures. Don't know why, I just do. And this one I upped it a little bit and adjusted the contrast and the shadows, and added a little texture to it. And it just sort of brought him out, his face out, his eyes, I thought, popped a little bit more. And then I kind of got beyond where I am able to make changes to it, and I didn't know where to go from there. So, but that was my effort with it.
Nice.
I haven't gotten into using the overlays or anything like that.
So did you add color to enhance his antennae?
The only thing that I really did was enhance the vibrance. I'm looking at what the changes I made,
Okay.
and I did up the vibrance just a little bit, and dehazed it, and I guess I did add a little bit of texture to it, but
Yeah.
they just kind of popped like that, and I am not sure why.
But take credit for it. Okay. Are there any questions?
Yeah, I got one, Mark.
Okay.
Did you use any of the hue saturation levels adjustments, like to enhance some of the colors? Because they look great. Like they look very vivid.
The only thing that I did to it that I can see in my list of changes was the vibrance. I played with the contrast and the highlights a little bit. I brought up the shadows. I adjusted up a little bit. No, and then I put them back.
The vibrance, did you put that on the whole image or did you mask the mantis?
No, everything I did was on the whole image.
Oh, it's all global. Okay.
Yeah, so I'm not real sure. I'm not real comfortable with using the masks, I guess. I don't always get them quite right when I try things with those.
They're getting better with AI.
Yeah, and the nice thing about using vibrance as compared to saturation is that vibrance protects these colors that are already saturated, so it doesn't bring them up as much as it does the undersaturated colors. So I pretty much use vibrance instead of saturation.
Mhm.
I like the background, the way it's defocused there. It's really soft. It makes the praying mantis just pop in the picture.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really like this, Peggy. I love the color and the lighting that you did to it, the vibrance of it. Yeah, it's a great shot.
Yeah, it was just, it was natural lighting outside. So yeah, I think I got lucky for
Yeah,
the
no,
most part, but
bravo. Yeah,
I,
bravo.
my impression was he was actually looking at me when I took the picture. I took several pictures, but this was the one where he was like looking at me when I took the picture.
Well, luck or not, the key to success is taking advantage of the opportunity.
That's right.
Yeah, and
Great
you
shot.
know, just looking at the shot, I think it really works because the colors are all complementary to one another.
Yep.
So, you have the greens playing off the blues and then the orange slash reds. And that's why I was asking about the HSL adjustments. Because yeah, this looks great. It's easy to look at.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Peggy?
Good job, Peggy.
Okay. We're moving on to Jean then.
Oh, which one are you going to start with? Okay.
The before. I think
Okay.
I have the two different sizes in here. I don't think I
Yeah.
erased the smaller ones.
This was a client home. They just built their house 2 years ago and had completed their landscaping. And she actually has a beautiful pool in the backyard. But I decided to show you the front. So going there, the backyard with the pool, she had mentioned, oh, I just love it so much at night. It's so pretty. And I, of course, did that for her. But then I also did that on this image of the front. And you can go ahead and go the after. So I changed it to evening. Now, purists are going to get mad at me and say those stars weren't there any time ever in history. But I like the stars, so I put the stars there. I took artistic ability there and put them in, and I cooled it down and put on a blue overlay to make it more nighttime-ish. But I also wanted the front door to look warm and inviting. So I actually put the lights on in Photoshop. I always start out in Lightroom cleaning things up and then go to Photoshop. Lightroom just doesn't quite cut it for me yet. I love Photoshop, so I took it into Photoshop, put the warm lighting on to make it more inviting in the candlesticks and the lights, and the stars to make the sky inviting as well. The client loved it, and she chose that and the one in the backyard as part of her gallery. So I guess I did something right. And as long as I made my client happy, I'm happy.
Okay, great. Any questions? Comments? Nice
Very
picture.
nice. Very nice.
It's very,
Thanks,
very
Doug.
cool that your reflection to the right of the doors also looks like night.
Yes. Thank you.
How did you create the stars?
I actually have a brush. It's a star brush. I I buy different things, or They come in different bundles, if you will. So those actually came from Meg Bitten from a kit that I had bought from her years ago. And I have like her brushes. There's like 4 or 5 different variations of them. Like the bigger stars is one type of star, and then the clusters is another. And then what I put all of my stars on one layer and then go in and put on a blur filter and blur them up a little bit. I don't want them too sharp, especially the ones that are farther away. And then I adjust my opacity to make them lighter and duller.
All right. Yeah, for the people who aren't familiar with specialty brushes in Photoshop, once you have a brush like that, you simply click and the brush creates the whatever pattern, on the layer. They're very simple to use.
And what's nice about the brushes too is you can change their direction as well.
Oh,
Okay, great. Thank you, Jean.
Thank you.
Tammy's not here tonight, so we're going to switch over to Bob Beal.
All right, thank you, Mark. I think Tammy's avoiding me. I don't know for sure. If she doesn't show up soon at a meeting I'm here for, I'm going to put a
Purely
portrait of her up.
coincidental.
All right. This is a JPEG of the original RAW file without any adjustments. So I just took the RAW right through, right into Photoshop and saved it as a JPEG without it making any changes at all. So this is exactly how I saw it. And I tend to shoot like one stop underexposed all the time because I want to save those highlights. I never want to lose anything in highlights. And this one wasn't particularly critical, but that's my normal practice anyway. So this is just obviously pictures of leaves in the river. I was pedaling down the east shore of the river on the green belt on my bicycle and happened to have my little Sony pocket camera, which shoots in RAW, and stopped for a break and took this picture. Took a whole bunch more, but this was the only one I liked. And then I took it into Photoshop. Well, first through Camera Raw. You can go ahead to the upper one, the final one. And the first thing I did was bring up the exposure overall, adjusted the contrast, and in Camera Raw, I always tend to make things kind of bland, and then I take them into Photoshop and take them where I want them, so that I don't have to struggle to do anything with any particular set of characteristics. So I brought the exposure up. I warmed up the color of the leaves a little bit of saturation. And then I took the stones, the area that's, the stones underwater, and I pushed them towards the yellow instead of the blue, sort of bluey green they were before. And then I cropped a little bit, but then I copied the final layer. I probably made a stamp visible layer first, copied that layer of the image to date. And then that copied layer, I put a blur on. I blurred it out, I don't know, some high amount, like 40, 50%. And then I adjusted the opacity of that blur layer downward until I saw what I wanted, which was this sort of soft focus, dreamy, looking at leaves in the river kind of image. After that, I don't think I did any cleanup on spots. That was, I think, the final thing. I might have done a little more. I did some dodging and burning overall to get everything the way I wanted it. So a little bit of here, a little bit there. I like to use the brush tool and black and white and masking. Instead of dodge and burn tools, I use the mask and exposure layers. That's pretty much all I did. It's not a very exciting picture or complicated, but I thought I'd have fun with it.
Very nice. Any questions, comments? I've never tried using the blur tool before. That's an interesting effect.
Yeah, I mean, I blurred the whole layer with what's called Gaussian blur. And it does the whole image, or you could mask parts of it and just blur where you wanted with the brush. Sometimes I do that, but this was the whole thing. And it's a technique. I think it's got a name. What the heck is it called? Where you combine two layers, one's blurred and one's not. There's a name for it. I can't remember what it is.
Called the Orton effect.
Yes, that's it. So somebody invented it with the name of Orton, so he gets the name.
No, very nice. Any other comments or questions? Okay, thank you, Bob. Curtis.
Yes, I am here.
There's no birds in the picture.
And I didn't even put any in. Okay. This was taken up at the steel stacks up at Bethlehem during one of our field trips. And before dark is why we were going there to the steel stacks. In my opinion, was to take pictures of the stacks in the dark. But before dark, this building across the street caught my attention because of the backlit windows. So I took this shot. It was on a tripod, and I did bracket 5 exposures for an HDR merge. I used 4 of the photos out of the 5 and did the merge. Before there, that's probably the center exposure. I didn't give you the other ones.
Okay.
And I cleaned up the photo, cropped it, leveled the horizon. As you can see down in the lower right down there, you see those PVC white pipes. The little fencing there to the right of that building. I took care of all those, got rid of them. The light post, that's there in the bottom right there. I got rid of that. And cleaned up some things and then cropped it. And you'll notice that the circular window at the top had no backlit in it at all, so I added that. So I used a radial gradient in Lightroom because this whole thing was done in Lightroom with a few exceptions. Maybe I took it into Photoshop. But I would, that top window there, for instance, I raised the exposure and then took the temperature and warmed it up, and then to give it a little bit of a feel there in the lower left-hand corner of that window, I went and darkened that down a little bit to act like some of the light was blocked. The main windows there, those where they didn't have any sunlight hitting them, I went and raised the exposure with a brush, another mask, and then took the temperature and warmed those up so it looked like the light was traveling further than it did in the original photo. I did on the, I guess those are the fire escape stairs. They were very dark, so I went and took a brush and I brought the white level up on the railing there to try and give it a little bit of life. And in all, I did 21 masks, I counted.
Oh, wow.
Which was a lot of messing around. The global adjustments I did first, and then cropped, and then moved on to using the masks. And I think that's about it. Other than the removal tools in Lightroom, I used their removal tools with the AI to get rid of those pipes and other distractions, and got rid of them, cleaned up the image. And leave it open for any questions or comments.
You used to have to go into Photoshop to do those distraction removals, but Lightroom's gotten so darn good with it.
Yeah, Lightroom has really come a long way.
How about the sky?
The sky, it was there. That blue was there if you underexposed. And since I did an HDR bracket, that was there to be had.
Okay.
So all I did there was going to do a little bit of a, a linear gradient shot brought down from the upper left corner. They're kind of dark in that left side to give you the illusion that the brightness of the sun was coming from the right side.
No, tricky.
Yeah. And if you look up there, you see that little tree growing on top of that building over there.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't notice that until the other day.
Hmm.
And that's about it.
Kurt, I had a comment on the light in the middle. You did a great job of having that mimic the light coming from the right, upper right on the windows, from the upper right down to the lower left. And you maintained that same logic in the circular light. And I think that was a very nice touch that you did there.
Right. Yes. If Mark, you can hit that before.
Sure.
You can see there is no
Right.
warmth at all in that circular window at the top. And so that's what I did there, is just use actually that radial gradient mask. I just filled that perfectly with that, and then I went and used the temperature and exposure to bring that up. And then I sometimes have to do the black level there a little bit to try and bring back some of the contrast.
Mhm.
Kurt, did you say that the original image was the center image of your 5, or was it the HDR composite of your 5, your original image?
The original was the center image of the 5. That was the one that I gave Mark to for this presentation. So that's the center one, and then I eliminated the overexposed far right one. So I just used, it was just brought the shadows up too much. So it was I think I did about a stop and a third. So I kept the stop and a third overexposed, then your center one, and then stop and a third under, and then another stop and a third under, I think is what I did.
Okay, thanks.
Yep.
Any other questions or comments?
Well, just a comment. I think you did a great job of accentuating the contrast in the tones. You've got the warm tones in the windows and the steel of the building and the cool tones of the sky. So it's one thing I appreciate. They play well together, and for anybody who's using an editing program, you can enhance that effect. You just make the windows in the building a little on the warmer side, and then you select the sky and make it on the cooler side, make it bluer, cooler. So you take what's already there, but just enhance it a little bit to increase the value of the contrast.
Yes. Yep.
I like that you let the yellow door on the bottom left, because
I did have to darken that up a little bit. It was a little too dominant in my original, so I did tone that down. But yes, I left it there.
But I like it because it makes your eye just like travel around the whole picture instead of just stopping up at the top where you have the lights in the windows. I mean, they're beautiful, but I like it because it makes your eye go and travel and see what else is in the frame.
Yes. Yeah, it draws your eye, definitely.
And it's dark enough that it leaves a little mystery to the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Anything else? Okay. Thank you, Curtis.
You're welcome.
Mary Eileen,
Yes, sir.
here we go.
All right. There is a musical group, it's an all volunteer group, I believe, called No Last Call. Very entertaining. If you've ever seen them or had the pleasure of listening or finding them somewhere, I highly recommend giving them some time because they're very entertaining. It's an all volunteer group, and they're all into this red. Everyone tries to wear something red, and of course, nothing ever matches. It's not like they have matching uniforms or anything. but I've been trying to get pictures of them for quite a while now. And this was taken at the Arts Fest last May. And the problem was it was along Front Street here in Harrisburg. And it was a lovely setting. It was right by the beer garden. People were sitting there, but these three guys are generally the three. I don't know if they're the leaders or what, but they're generally the ones who do little kind of dancing skits, interacting while they're playing. And I had a lot of trouble getting the three of them because they kept moving or people were getting in my way, or I would shift here or there trying to get all of them. And so this was the one I had them both sort of looking towards my area. And so I chose this one because I wanted to, I kind of wanted to emphasize them. So I did it because there had been it needed some sharpening. I ended up putting it through Topaz to try to sharpen it up. And I also masked so I could try to blur out the people in the back, because I wanted to emphasize them, and they're kind of sinking into the picture too much, and I wanted to bring them forward. And so I was trying to do every little thing here and there. I cropped it down. That guy in the beige hat in the lower right-hand corner, I had to remove him. There were a few other things I needed to remove, and I did some sharpening, and I did previously blurred up the word Gaussian blur. I love working with Gaussian blur, not just because I have fun with it, but I just like saying that name, Gaussian blur. It sounds so magical or something. It just makes me laugh. But anyway, I worked this, I tried this, the cropping, the removing, the blurring in the back, and I still wasn't happy getting those guys forward. So I decided that there was just too much red and it was starting to bug me. So that's when I turned it into black and white, which is my after. And did a little more blurring of the background. I see some spots where I think I need to do some more, but the whole thing was I was trying to focus on them and the story of how they're the ones who seem to step forward from the rest of the group and do the entertaining while they're all playing music, but they kind of do some of the entertaining and moving around. So it's still kind of a work in progress, but I decided that as much as I love the fact that they all have red and they're all mismatched outfits, it was just too much and I had to turn it into a black and white. So that's it.
Kind of cool. I
Cropping,
like it in black
removal.
and white.
Pardon me?
I like it in black and white.
Yeah, I like it a lot more in black and white because I felt the red was starting to it was just too distracting.
Any comments, questions?
Mary Eileen, I love the softening you did on the background. It was very subtle, but it was just enough to make those three guys pop. And that's very nicely done.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hey, Mary, if you wanted them to really stand out, you could leave them in color and leave the rest of the background in black and white.
Maybe I'll try that one too. I will try that.
Looks good though, black and white too.
Thank you.
The black and white moves their faces forward. Their faces show up way better, I think, in the black and white. You can see that they're a much lighter value than anything else. So they're jumping out to you. And that, I think, was what you were looking for also.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to focus on them.
Anything else? Mary Eileen, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Carla.
I'm here.
Okay.
All right, this is a picture of Shems Creek. I don't know if any of you are familiar with the Mount Pleasant area across the Cooper River from Charleston, South Carolina. Nobody? Well, anyway.
No.
All right. Well, anyway, this is a famous area, and what it is shrimpers that go in and out of Shems Creek. And there's restaurants along the waterway and everything else. So that's really, really cool. But the biggest draw for Ron and I is the beautiful boardwalk and pathways that they have from way back in Mount Pleasant, where they have the bridge that crosses over the creek, all the way out to where it empties into the Cooper River. And we were down there photographing all the various pelicans and that were there after the shrimpers. They clean the shrimp, and then they dump the heads and everything into the water. And the hundreds of pelicans and cormorants and gulls, unbelievable. So it was kind of blah to me as far as the color was concerned. And what I usually do is take it into Apple's Photoshop, Apple Photos, and I use their cleanup brush, which is heavenly. It's the best thing I have right now for cleaning something up, removing birds, things like that. So I usually go in there, and it also has a couple other features that I look at, definition, things like that. So I was not happy with the colors at all. And what I do normally when I'm not happy is I took a course from Ms. Peterson years ago. Brian Peterson, I'm sorry, with Brian Peterson. And he said, push the saturation to the limit. So that's what I did. And if we go to my next, there we go. As you know, I usually take my photos into either watercolor or paint. And I decided to do paint with this one. And to me, I lightened up, I pushed the colors to the limit, and it brightened up the picture. So that's the story behind this one.
Okay, and you're talking iPhone apps, right?
Yes.
Okay.
And what I used was, what is it called? Photoleap. And that's the one I can go into Photoleap and remove it. It sets up the program so that I can do just the wooden part, or I can do just the sky, or I can do just the water. Very similar to what you all do with Photoshop and Lightroom. So it works on an app basis. And then I take it from Photoleap over to this one is Picasso. And it has all the various different filters, and I can go in there and adjust all my basic adjustments and do everything really in Picasso at the end. So.
And I just blew it up to 200% so people could see the brush marks that the filter puts on it.
Yes. And a lot of times what I'll do is once I finish a photo like this, I'll take it into an area where they have paper, texture paper. To be honest with you, I don't remember whether I did it on this one or not. So, yeah, this one you can blow up and actually see my brush marks.
Okay. Any questions or comments?
I think this is actually really cool. When I see it, I think of like a storybook, and this is the beauty of photography. You can go from an image to something that doesn't look like a photo anymore, and not in a bad way, right? This is, it's art, and that's what I appreciate about it. So thanks for sharing.
Yeah, thanks, Chris. I appreciate it.
Anyone else?
Just a comment for folks who are interested in doing similar things like adding painting effects to your photos, but you don't want to do it on your phone, you want to do it on your computer. SnapArt. I've mentioned this program before, been using it for years, and you can add all sorts of painting effects and digital frames. Does a great job. SnapArt 4.
Okay. Thank you, Carla.
Thank you.
And Dave, it's now your turn.
All right.
Oops, let's get you down here so something you can see. There we go.
So I took this as a challenge. This is a photo that really didn't have very much separation, and the colors just seemed to run in to one another. So if I didn't do anything to this, I had to remove myself as a reflection inside the bell there. And I tried to separate as much through contrast and highlights, and really the bell and the jingle bell on the left and the other bells on the right were always the key focus of everything. And Mark, you can show the after.
Okay. Yep.
And so anyway, this was my vision of it in the end. I highly desaturated the jingle bell there, took myself the reflection out of it, and really tried to work with the background as much as I could, trying to keep it warm and at least as distinct or separated from the three bells as I could. The highlights there, the yellows and the glowing reds in the lower right corner, I thought were really interesting. So I tried to keep those. I put in a bit of a vignette as well. Did a little bit of cropping, and I would say, after all was said and done, it was kind of a clinic for me, and I just learned an awful lot trying to bring out the bells in a situation where they were just so flat and nondescript in the original image. So, Mark, that's pretty much the story of this.
Okay, thank you. Any questions or comments? How do you desaturate silver?
Yeah. Well, I went into the masking tool, and I put a real heavy slider on that to get rid of any reflection. If you want to go to the first, the before slide, Mark,
sure,
you can kind of see it's all pretty much jumbled into the background. So I had to really get rid of most of the color in there. And actually, I tried the whole thing in black and white. Go ahead and get the after if you'd like, Mark. And I actually liked it in black and white, but I kind of left the bell as it was. And Mark, it was the masking tool that really allowed me to highlight that bell and then just take all color out of it.
Okay, great. Thanks. Anybody else have any comments or questions? It's an interesting photo.
Thanks, Mark.
Okay. Thanks, Dave. Doug, it's now your turn.
Sorry, I had to unmute. Okay. This was taken at Longwood Gardens, and it was a structure I was obviously shooting up towards the sky. And so, it's pretty high dynamic range, and using matrix metering is going to certainly hide the shadows quite a bit. So, first thing I did was, because the dynamic range was so large, and you have a lot of shadow areas, I denoised. I then corrected the distortion, as you can see that it's not perfectly square, and then cropped a bit and extended the background at the bottom because it was a little bit tight in the original shot, and I did that in Photoshop. A little bit of sharpening, and then finally I used Topaz Studio 2, the HDR dynamic HDR filter, and increased the micro contrast even a bit further to bring out some of the detail in the branches in the sky. So if you go to the after, hopefully you can see that. Yep, there we go. So that in a nutshell is what I did.
That was a lot of work. Any questions or comments?
That is so cool. I would have never thought that was a tree on the left side.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just I'd never been in this building before. It overlooks the that big grassy area. I can't remember what it's called, but it's an interesting structure. They have a couple trees growing through the roofs.
Doug, is that one of the tree house?
Chip, I can't remember if it's called the tree house or not. It's not the one across from the pond. It's the one that overlooks that big, the meadow area is what they call it.
Okay.
It's a little, I never saw it before, but the day that I went was completely uncrowded. And I just sort of saw this path leading to the right. I thought, I'll take a look there. And they have the structure there. But it overlooks the meadow.
Reminds me of Jack and the Beanstalk.
Yeah. Minus the green.
Yeah, right. A great sense of depth as you look up the tree. Man, it just seems to go forever.
Nice place.
Okay. Cool. Thanks, Doug.
Sure.
I see it's almost 8:30, so I think safe to say we're out of time, and we got through all the people. Unfortunately, Joan couldn't make it tonight, so we don't have to do hers. Dennis, do you want to do yours, or Joe?
I can go through pretty quickly. Yeah, let's do that.
Okay.
I wanted to show this one just for the dramatic change that it was able to make. I wasn't able to make the Children's Lake field trip with the group, so Rich Hudson and I went on December the 20th. This was about 5:16 p.m. I was using a 16 millimeter lens and backed up that I had to watch for traffic. I was on the road. The key here was that I shot this in RAW format because the dynamic range was so great. I actually underexposed this more than I intended to. This was accidental. I didn't want to blow out the highlights, the candles, the luminaries so much. So I actually made it darker than I really wanted to. So I took it into Lightroom Classic, and if you'll show the after one, did the basic adjustments in Lightroom Classic. Since it was a wide angle lens, I did the auto transform to try to square things up. I think I ran denoise on it. And then to bring out the bows, I used a masking brush to brighten them up. Then the next step was to take it into On1 Effects, that program I talked about earlier. And I added a little bit of a glow filter to it and put on the double frame. Okay. But the key here is that even though I underexposed it accidentally, I was able to bring it out and get that as a result, mostly because it was shot as a RAW file.
Okay.
Questions or comments? Okay.
Joe, do you want to show yours, or?
Yeah, I think I can do it relatively quickly, Mark. So
Okay.
this is in Mongolia, and it was in excuse me, it was in from a bus. And you can see the glare on the windows from the bus. And what appealed to me was the three, or is it four, tombstones, and then the leading line up to it. And of course, I didn't like the power line off to the right. So I said, okay, I know what I'm going to do with that. And I was going to use the Cole Thompson process. He spoke to our club a couple years ago. So if you could do the after. So what I did was, obviously I converted it to black and white. I used a brush for the tracks from the cars going up the hill to the gravestones, and then I used the intersect tool to lighten the just the actual tracks and not the gray part in between them. And I cropped out the tower, and I took out the cloud that was there, and that's what I got.
Okay, great. Any questions, comments?
It's very
Very
cool. It
cool.
looks almost
Very
like a
cool.
negative.
Yeah.
What did you say you did with the sky again? I think I was.
On the sky, I just basically removed a cloud. There was a cloud there that didn't show up very much, but I got rid of that. That was just a real quick thing.
Okay, so when you converted it to black and white, it just
Yes.
went that dark.
It went that dark. I knew it was going to go black, and I wanted it to go black, and that was my vision, because I knew if I took a blue background like that and brought the exposure way down, it would go black pretty quickly. And then I figured, okay, we got those white tombstones against it, and that's what really appealed to me, the simplicity of it.
Nice.
Reminds me of the statues on Easter Island.
Yes, it does, doesn't it?
Okay. Anything else?
Yeah, very dramatic.
Okay. I've got one. It's real quick. This was this is the before picture. Somebody dared me to show this, so that's why I'm doing it. This is the before picture. This was shot at Benazet at one of the elk hides, where as usual, the elk were not there. And I got bored and started taking pictures of anything I could see in front of me. And then I got this home, was like, this isn't that bad. It's kind of interesting. So I did this. And the only thing I did was crop it. This is essentially straight out of camera.
Wow.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
Yeah. First things people asked me was, what filter did you use on it?
Yeah.
And I was like, none. It just happened. I don't know what setting I had on the camera. If there was anything special or weird that I did that I didn't realize I did, because this was shortly after I bought my new camera. But it just turned out this way. Very flat sky too, which I think compounded the issue. But anyway, I just had to show that.
Yeah, very good.
Okay, Dennis, I think we're done now.
Okay, shall we open it up for any final comments or questions from anyone?
Everybody wants to go watch television.
Hey, that's okay. Well, I want to thank everyone for attending tonight, and especially the people that contributed. When I stressed in the email, please consider submitting, when Mark told me this morning that we had 17 entries, I went, wow, that's terrific. So thank you very much for that. And
I'm used to
Mark,
by Wednesday calling Dennis and saying, Dennis, we need to send out another. You guys did a great job. If we
I didn't have to prod very many people.
No, and I didn't prod anybody either.
That's great. And Mark, thanks for hosting the meeting tonight and running this.
Glad to do it.
Okay, so thanks everybody. That's great. I'll get the email out tomorrow sometime during the day. So thank you and good night.
Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good job,
Good night,
Mark.
everyone. Yeah, thanks for doing that, Mark.